want to say, first of all, welcome and thank you for coming to this on behalf of myself and Chris. You cannot see Chris right now. He is sharing his screen. But Chris, if you're there, say hello.
Hey, everybody. How are my people of NIRSA today? Welcome to the first virtual roundtable for small programs. Like I said, Andrew and I are really excited to be here to kind of help just guide some discussion, bring some positivity, and really think about what we can do to continue serving our students. So, I said, my name's Chris. I am the director of the Aquatic Center here at Denison University, and Andrew is the coordinator of recreation at Southern New Hampshire University. So, like I said, we're just looking forward to having some really good discussions about what's going on and how we can continue to serve. So we have a couple ground rules for today. The first one is positivity. We want to bring a lot of positivity to the people in NIRSA today, and no complaining, only solutions. That's something that the Small Programs Advisory Council has really kind of pushed, ever since I've been a part of it, going back, the first pre-con that was hosted 3 years ago. Steve Putnam always said, no complaining, only positivity and solutions. We want to get creative today. Let's think outside of our box and think about how we can really, take this challenge and turn it around and create something very unique and new out of it. And then also thinking about our students. This is not just about the right now, but also the future. I think about our campus. We are a small 2,200 student liberal arts campus, and all this remote learning that they're transitioning to right now is pretty much the antithesis of that liberal arts education. So figuring out how we can really serve them and support them in what's not necessarily a normal situation and what they signed up for. So with that, let's start the discussion. I'm going to turn it over to Andrew first and just, kind of ask you, what are some of the contingency plans you've been providing for fitness and wellness on your community during this disruption?
Yes. So just to start off, I'm sure at this point everyone is getting close to burnt out on Zoom, but if you are not familiar with it, be sure to, if you have questions, comments, if you want to share anything, use the chat box. If you bring your cursor down to the bottom of the screen, you'll see a little chat, and you can, say whatever you want to say through there, and then we'll try and give shout outs to as many people as possible. So first, as Chris mentioned, we're going to talk about contingency plans for providing fitness and wellness to the community. So what is everyone doing? I know there's a lot of free options out there. Who's hosting the group fitness classes through Zoom? How are you doing that? Right now, from Maxwell Miller, he's created a web page for Swarthmore College. Definitely check that out. We did a very similar thing at Southern New Hampshire University. Thank you, Alicia. And it's been great. All of our links are live right now. We've been able to share it to multiple groups. Maxwell, would you be willing to share a little bit about how you went about creating that page?
Sure. So I definitely use the philosophy of don't reinvent the wheel. So over the last, week and a half, 2 weeks, I've been finding various links to hit or various resources to hit the different aspects of well-being. Physical, emotional, social, community, environmental, all those different aspects, and wanted to create just a web page that people could go to from Swarthmore, from elsewhere, to be able to improve themselves remotely. So on here, there's, I think it's USF is doing a college pen pal program where they're pairing people up based on their institution or what they're studying. So I added that link. I have our student group exercise instructors sending me remote, pre-recorded group fitness classes. So I created a YouTube channel. College of William and Mary has a virtual health and wellness page, which is fantastic. I asked them if I could add that to there. They have virtual events and also some pre-recorded stuff through there. And then just through some resources that I saw through NIRSA Connect and also on Facebook through different Facebook groups, grabbed what I thought were just some of the top links to apps or websites, free stuff that would be available to our students, faculty and staff also wanted to include some virtual tours, virtual museums, coloring books, and also saw this really cool link that there are 15 Broadway plays and musicals that you can watch on stage remotely. So I wanted to add that for those who just want to sort of get some entertainment with being remote for free. If anybody has questions, feel free to let me know, or I'll add my email to the chat so you can chat offline too.
Yeah, that is awesome. Thank you for sharing that. For those of you that don't want to click it right now, that link will be available in the chat after we post this whole presentation at the end. So don't feel like you need to go through now and check it out, and you might lose your spot, but it will be there. But thank you for putting that together, and thank you for speaking on that. Laura at Stony Brook was talking about Zoom classes. Can you talk a little bit about Zoom? How are you limiting it only to your university's community? Are you opening it to anyone? Feel free to speak about it however you'd like.
Yeah, sure. Hi, everyone. So yeah, we basically launched this last week. So this app at Leto was an app we were already using for our fitness classes. And basically we are only allowing people with a stonybrook.edu email to be in the class. So that's kind of how we're controlling it. So it's not open to the public, just Stony Brook community. And basically what's cool is we create a class, and it's called a playing card. And the person clicks on the card, and then the link for Zoom is there. And right now the classes are live. We are recording those classes and looking to put them on our YouTube channel. Probably going to do it, update it weekly in case people missed it. And right now we're hosting 4 half-hour classes a day because the feedback we got was that people are looking for short classes, nothing extensive, nothing too long. Sticking to like yoga, HIIT, we did something called cardio sport and, meditative type classes for now, looking to expand as the weeks go on.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that, Laura. I think here at Denison, one of the things that we've been looking at is taking advantage of just all the different resources we have across campus. We are working a lot with our wellness center to provide both Zumba, HIIT right now, looking to add some Pilates later and a little bit of yoga as well. We've got a studio that we're partnering with out of Columbus that's going to offer some free on-demand classes to our students. And really, I want to transition to this one because now I'm probably going to butcher the name, but Deirdre from Wingate was talking about eSports via IM leagues. And, that to me is really interesting because, again, intramuraling right now is really tough. And if you'd be willing to share a little bit about what you're looking for on those eSports, that'd be awesome.
Hi, so I'm Dee Reich from Wingate University. IM Leagues actually reached out to us, and I think everyone who uses IM Leagues, about doing some eSports leagues online. So we're polling our student staff to find out, first of all, what gaming systems they use, and then giving them, I think we gave them a handful of options, preferences. Would you want to play FIFA versus Rocket League or what have you? And also keeping in mind that maybe some students don't have the most current version. So like FIFA, we have FIFA 2020 and 2019. And so we just sent an email out via IM Leagues to get some feedback, a poll, and then also put it on our social media so that people could vote one way or the other. I mean, we have no idea right now what the interest is going to be. We're leaving it open, I think, into the weekend to see what people want to do, and then try and set it up for them after that.
Awesome.
I'm seeing, so Kyle from UW Stout is talking about hosting virtual 5Ks that students can compete with other students from different colleges. Would you mind talking a little bit about like what software or program you're using to do that?
Yeah, absolutely. So we talked about using IM Leagues as kind of a sign up because WRSA, the Wisconsin here, has our own IM Leagues account that is open to any student in the state. However, it does require making an additional account and then going in to register. So we thought that'd be too many hoops to jump through. So at the moment, our current idea is to advertise via social media, Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, what have you, and develop a hashtag where students can go out, run their 5K and do, hashtag WRSA 5K, and us admins of that account will see that and then add their name and their time to a list to make it as easy as possible for the students. And then we will share the results daily, weekly. We haven't totally determined how often we'll share them, but on social media to keep up to date with everyone's times. And it won't be necessarily be, a one-time 5K. This is to encourage students to run it or just to get out and be active as much as possible. So awards for best time, most distance run over the course of a month, and greatest improvement.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing. A question that I see, to kind of jump back to the IM Leagues thing for a second. Tina Mascaro, I believe, is saying that she also uses eSports, but they don't have it set up yet. Can I still offer an eSports program if I don't have it set up on campus? Anyone using IM Leagues do eSports that's newer to this, that haven't been doing them on campus? Can anyone speak to this?
Yeah. Max Miller here from Sophomore. So there's sort of two options that you can do that were talked about on Monday in the eSports programming call. So you can do it either ladder scheduling, that's what IM League sent out, I think, last week about, or you can do it as like just a double or a triple round robin, where you have participants sign up through like their team name would be their like gamer tag or username. From there, you can either have them email each other to schedule their games and they self-report, or you can set up the schedule for them, like 1 game per week or 2 games per week. From there, you can either just do an overall winner through the standings, or you can do like a playoff tournament at the end to see who you can crown your campus champion. Someone I was talking to in the Boston area was thinking about doing, so Mars is their state association. They were thinking about doing an esports league or an esports competition through Mars, through their association, because like at smaller schools, we might only get like 2 or 3 participating, but if 15 or 20 schools can come together and put something together, it might be a good idea and a good way to just create community across campuses as well.
Yeah, that is something that is pretty special to the time we're in right now, is that we have the opportunity to program with other universities that we may never have had the chance to do before, especially at small programs. And that is mostly through things like esports, virtual 5Ks, and things like that. So if you have a state association, or if you work closely with other schools close by, definitely reach out to them, see if you can organize something like this. On the topic of esports, and I think this is going to be one of the last things that we talk about esports wise until closer to the end, just so that we don't spend all our time covering esports, is collaborating with your varsity esports program. On campus here, I am in no means a gamer, so we reached out to our varsity esports director, and he's helping us set up leagues using an app different than IM Leagues that was already in there, called Mission Control, which I see Logan University also uses. But David Deal, you also mentioned that your varsity, your club esports program does community gaming nights. Can you speak a little bit about that?
Sure. We compete with the ECAC. And for all of our esports games, they yesterday just announced that they're doing community game nights for 4 different games: Overwatch, Fortnite, Rocket League, and Super Smash Brothers. They start the end of March and run through April. They're doing weekly competitions, and it's open format registration. You can register for 1 night for each game, or you can register for the 3 nights that they have scheduled for each game. So, and you don't even have to be a conference school with the ECAC. They're just offering this program right now for really anyone that's interested in doing something. So we thought that was a way to stay connected with the conference that we compete in, but also a way to invite others that aren't familiar with our club on and off campus to see what we can offer.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing. For the sake of time,
Pivot
sorry,
away.
go ahead, Chris.
Oh, I was gonna say, just pivoting away. Mike Wise was talking a little bit about what they're doing with some professional development opportunities. I noticed just using TED Talks as daily discussions, both after for professional development, things like that. Again, I think we've also got to think about how do we develop ourselves and how do we develop our staff in this time. I was wondering if he could speak a little bit about that. What they're doing with their Zoom meetings and all that brainstorming and virtual engagement.
Excuse me, my voice is going out. Through some of our Zoom meetings, we've discussed, not only how to keep students involved, but how to keep ourselves accountable and progressing within our own positions. And actually, our assistant director thought it would be a good idea to do or find some way of having a professional development. And so we've been doing a series on leadership through TED Talks with Simon, or what's his name? Well, a variety of leadership speakers. And then afterwards discussing and seeing how that can relate to how we lead our own groups, and I think that I also like the way NIRSA has now put out these roundtables. I've encouraged our staff to get involved in their particular areas in the roundtables to also see what others are doing across the country to navigate these difficult situations.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, I'm seeing a lot of, Max has talked about, LinkedIn classes, and there are some really great LinkedIn learning classes out there. He's definitely got a link for that as well. Tina Fairmont said, they're setting up Microsoft Teams meetings. I know personally on our campus, we're doing a lot of Google Hangouts. We're a Google campus, so I've probably had more Google Hangout meetings than I could count on two hands. So anything you're doing, Andrew, at your campus?
We are pretty reliant on Zoom or Ring Central for the most part, trying to stay consistent with, keeping face-to-face interactions I think is important. It helps with my state of mind for the most part. It just reminds people that, we're still in the world, we're still with other people, we're all in this together kind of thing. So just trying to keep those meetings going and interact with people as much as possible is what we're doing.
Yeah. And really, I mean, for me, I look at what, kind of looking at this, how do you, creatively program to keep your students socially engaged? That's what I've been doing a lot of work with my students right now. And, right now I've got them focusing on, kind of starting with their why for why they love what they do. We're reading Start With Why by Simon Sinek. Here coming up for our leadership symposium in August. And my challenge to the returning team is, let's start with our why. Let's find our why. And, that's really helped, give them a little bit of social engagement to, continue to talk with each other and meet with each other, while we're in kind of an unusual time. But, they get that social interaction with each other that, they really love. And that's one of the things that's coming out of that group is that they love the social interaction. They love the family aspect of everything. So continuing that kind of stuff for us has been crucial to keep them engaged. Like I said, remote learning is new for them. And this is something that's been pretty neat to, to watch them kind of evolve this process. Anyone else doing something creative like that?
I'm seeing a lot of options for more professional development online, a lot of free classes that are available, LinkedIn learning classes out there. Just for the sake of time, I think we bring up this third discussion point right down here, right? What are we doing right now that we can start developing to be better after this? How can we be better prepared for the future? What are we learning from this? What are people taking away, if anything? Chris, what about you? What have you learned so far? I know we've had a lot of discussions in the last week about this, and you've had a lot of positivity and good things that you've brought up. So,
I think that the biggest thing to remember is this is temporary. This is not forever. And we are going to get back to some semblance of normal here in the future. And when we come back to that semblance of normal, we have to figure out, a little bit of how do we pick up some of these pieces and continue to make our students whole. I said a lot of our students have been thrown for a loop. I know, our 2,200 students on campus, this is not what they really signed up for when they came to a liberal arts school. So how do we continue to support them now and in the future during such an uncertain time? I think it's going to create a lot of resiliency in our students, but I don't know that I've necessarily got all the answers on that yet. I think it's just being there and listening right now. But I'd love to see what everybody else is talking about. We've got a lot of folks in here I'm seeing in the chat. It's a good time to improve your cleaning protocols. We've definitely been doing a lot of that. We were kind of planning for the flu already. We usually get hit pretty hard by the flu bug. So we were already doing a lot of cleaning, but definitely, what are some things that you're looking at to be better prepared for the future, folks? And then we'll also open this up to anything anybody wants to talk about afterwards. So.
Mm-hmm. One thing I'm seeing is having a hybrid approach moving forward after this from Kathy, and I am not going to try and pronounce your last name, Kathy O.
All right, so this is something that I think is important because we don't want to abandon all this virtual learning and the Zoom lessons and everything, because it's something that is, especially for our commuters, and I know so many programs have online editions, and this is a great way to bring everybody into that fold of recreation. So we want to make sure that we keep some of the programs that are really working. Now, the stuff that is not 100% doing great, we probably should abandon that, but making sure that we still have some of these virtual 5Ks, really taking advantage of social media is going to be really key in the future, because a lot of this hybrid approach is really great, especially for like the YouTube channels and offering things for later use.
Yes.
Absolutely. Actually, an interesting question as we look at towards the future. Laura, do you want to kind of ask the question that you asked in the chat just a minute ago? See what maybe the rest of this group might have on that.
Sure. So obviously not trying to go negative, still keeping the positive vibes. But we are a state school. I'm Stony Brook University in New York. And we have been told that the state is going to convert our facility into hospital, right? And I'm sure a lot of schools are in this boat. And if that does happen, we're talking potentially 9 months, 12 months, we don't know. So if that is the case, what are your, plans if you guys are in that boat too, about how to sustain this virtual component of rec? Should it go more than just the anticipated 3 months or so? That's my question.
Yeah, we are in that situation here at SNHU. Our facility was turned into a clinical flex area. National Guard has been setting up beds for the past week and kind of converting our facility into that, so that as soon as they need it, we're ready to go. We are hoping that it never gets to that, but we are just starting to plan, what do we do if this goes on for, like you said, months. Some of our plans would be, continue the kind of programming we would over the summer virtually, continue doing group fitness classes and leagues, do some more programming to encourage people to get outside, because I don't know about the rest of you, but we had snow. We had about 4 to 6 inches here on Monday. So we are not as close to spring as I was hoping, but in a couple months, it'll be, way warmer, nicer, and we can get people out doing those 5Ks and doing other kind of like challenges. So we're kind of just getting that ball rolling. But what about other people? Has anyone have plans in place already?
I'm going to jump in. I think Deirdre, I'm sorry if I'm saying your name wrong. Just looking at your question, we had to reimburse our rec fee for the rest of the semester. So yeah, we had to reimburse all the membership fees for basically from March until May.
I guess, and then that, again, looking forward, that could be lost anticipated revenue, right? For what you were saying, up to maybe even a year.
Yeah, it's a concern. It's a major concern. So yeah, we're trying to, figure out what that means financially. Especially we had a huge student staff, like over 200 students. So, it's a major concern. And now most of them are not going to be working for us because we don't really have that option for remote working for them other than for fitness instructors, really. So we're hoping that will help save some money. But again, long term, who knows,
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think it's definitely going to be an ever-evolving situation for all of us. And, the more creativity that we can take out of this, I think the stronger our programs are going to be. Actually, Andy had a really good question, Andy Milton. Do you want to ask that to the rest of the group too? Just touching on how everybody's taking care of themselves. We focused a lot on how do we take care of our students? How do we think about that? But a lot of times, especially, I think, not just in times of crisis, but all the time as rec professionals, a lot of times we do forget to take care of ourselves. So.
Hey, yeah, everybody. I appreciate everybody getting on here, and this is all good stuff. And I just thought I'd ask that question because when we're in the normal throes of our work week, sometimes forget that, myself included, take care of ourselves. But now, how is this impacting you or where you all are sitting individually? And I asked that of myself to try to think about that. But then I figure at the end of this, however long it is, we're going to have, from working remotely or whatever, that we may have some newer strategies or reminding ourselves of we might be into a better habit formation at that point, and to keep doing that once we get back amidst the chaos that is our everyday jobs in the normal, I guess I'd say a normal world. So I thought I'd throw that out there just to see what people are doing to take care of themselves, whether you're still at work, in your building, which isn't many, or working from home.
Meredith Measurement from WPI over here. Hello, everyone. One thing I'm doing is that I'm trying to remain a routine. So although I may be walking to my dining room table to work, I still get up in the morning. I still go for a walk or work out any way I can, make breakfast, get dressed like I'm going to work for the most part, just to kind of remain in that focus. And at the same time, I don't know about all of you, but it's really difficult for me to step away from the computer sometimes if you're so indulged into something. So by the time it hits like 6 p.m. or something, the latest, I am trying to disconnect just to be able to release the mind a little bit and decompress. So.
Hey, Anne, could you jump on and just kind of tell the group what you said here in the chat? Because I think that's really important, for us to think about.
Yeah, hi everyone. From Sheridan College in Wyoming, and I've just been reflecting a lot on what's really important. And while the work we do is important and intramurals and all that are great, really what I'm missing and what's weird to me is that my students aren't here. I don't get to talk to them. I've texted each one of them personally, and they texted me right back, and I was really excited to hear from them. And I was kind of surprised at how good it made me feel, because we see them all the time and they do dumb stuff and we roll our eyes at them, but really, like, we really do care about them, I think, at the end of the day, being at small schools especially. And so I think while we want to build all these things and do, because that's what we do, like, we all work very hard, let's just take a minute to just be grateful and reach out to them in maybe not a professional way, if that makes sense. Like, just to be like, how's it going? How are you? Like, is your family making you crazy? So just, I don't know, maybe lighten it up and not put so much pressure on ourselves to do all the things we do normally, because this isn't normal. So I think if we kind of can accept that, it might be a little bit easier.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you for sharing that. That's a great point. What are people doing to engage with your students and student employees that aren't necessarily program-based? Just checking in and kind of keeping that relationship alive and making sure that they know that you're supporting them. Is anyone doing anything creative?
Hey, Andrew, this is Cheyenne. I'm actually at a big school now, but I graduated from a small school. I want to talk about the last point, and then I'll kind of go off to that first, and go Seahawks. But For me, I'm a student, I'm a graduate student, and I'm a graduate assistant for fitness. And as a GA, a lot of the times we're like going all the time. And even as professionals, I know my professionals are doing the same thing. But this has really been a great opportunity for me to find myself outside of work. So I feel like a lot of times I wake up and I do work, or I'm getting prepared to go do work, and all of my day is task and accomplish focused and driven and oriented. Like I prepare my food so that it makes my work life easier. So I'm doing things outside of work and finding who I am outside of work. So I have different things to talk about. And as I go to new places and meet new people, I can make connections outside of just the things that I do on a day-to-day basis for my job. And that's led right into what we're doing with our students. We have challenged all of our students to find a new hobby or learn a new skill before that they come back to campus, so that we can kind of hear about what they're doing there. We also have theme days in our group chat. So today was Throwback Thursday, so everyone's sending really embarrassing baby pictures. They're kind of rough, but it was really fun.
Awesome. Oh, awesome. I love that. I love that. Interesting that I'm seeing a lot of, I've seen this a couple times over in the chat. Couple folks have said they're preparing an online banquet. I would really love to hear more about that from Alicia. I think was the first one to bring that up. I would love to hear more about that. That is just, I am intrigued by that.
Yeah, so our banquet was supposed to be on April 15th. So we're actually still having it on April 15th. And so our marketing coordinator is actually putting together, we do a senior slideshow with pictures of all of our seniors from all the years they worked together. So we're still doing that. And then we're actually, each individual pro staff is actually going to give out their award on camera, and we're putting it together as a video. And then in the background will be all the pictures of all throughout the whole year that we would normally show. And then we're just sending it out. We're going to try to keep it at 30 minutes and just send it through, like we're going to create it on YouTube and then send it out that way. And then we're actually mailing home all their plaques. And we're mailing home every senior a gift that we already got for them, and we're mailing that on a little bit before April 15th, so that hopefully they can get it on April 15th.
That's awesome. Is anybody else doing something similar to that? I just, to me, that concept is just awesome.
Hey, this is Drew from Plymouth State. I think one of the things that we did, we're kind of going through the same thing. Last year, we ended up coming up with a really creative award ceremony. We kind of went off of The Office, and we did our own version of the Reckies, and we're going to be doing something similar like that this year, including coming up with a really great commercial similar to their episode. But just getting the groups together has been a big one. We found out a couple weeks back that one of our student employees won the Student Employee of the Year award for the entire campus. And unfortunately, that ceremony got canceled, which was a huge bummer. So we ended up having a staff meeting this weekend and coordinated a couple of different things so that we were able to surprise her with that as well. And I think that it was just a really neat thing for them to kind of see that. And I've gotten so many people who have emailed me and kind of just said that they appreciate the constant check-ins, that, you know, we genuinely care for the things that are going on. And I think that that part's been huge. I recently, everybody talks a lot about, you know, the rec staff as a family. And we've created, while working with a couple of my underclassmen, a really neat rec staff family shirt that we'll be sending out for all of our staff, so that they can know that we're thinking of them during this time, which, you know, the staff's been really excited about as we kind of have that thing going through. So I appreciate the idea about getting them the awards ahead of that time too, which is great. I coach a 3rd and 4th grade basketball team, and we had a virtual awards ceremony Tuesday night, you know, so being able to do that, I think, with our group is going to be a really touching thing. So great stuff.
On the topic of virtual ceremonies, one thing I'm seeing, that's something that's happened on our campus with student involvement office, and I think it was Meredith mentioned it, that she's having like a social hour every Wednesday. It's a cool opportunity just to have like a drop-in session where people can come just chat and be low-key, just kind of a mental health check-in, and very casual to keep those relationships alive. That way it doesn't necessarily seem like you're constantly you know, just saying, hey, how are you? Just feeling like forced and sterile almost. Meredith, can you talk a little bit about your social hours that you're having?
Sure. So I sent out a email to my control desk staff and my student supervisors, and we just articulated to them that me and my rec coordinator will be on the Zoom call for 1 hour on Wednesdays. We called it like a lunch and fun hour, social hour with them. Said you don't need to participate, but if you just wanted to say hello to us. Our rec center staff, I was articulating in an earlier discussion before this one, they used to be in our building all the time, even offset of working. Like I would have to kick them out at the end of the night. So for them just to try to keep that reminder of their family, kind of like what they've created, and have an opportunity that was already there for them to be able to talk with one another. We had that going, and we actually, out of 60, we had about 30 yesterday, which it was their first day of classes back. So I thought that was pretty good. And it was just literally like showing each other their animals, or just talking about things that they've done, or their new roommates, so-and-so, their parents, and just having some fun together and laughing. So it was pretty good. So I think that they like it, to the fact that there's still something there for them to be a part of.
Yeah, I think it's important that we provide some sense of normalcy for them in any way that we can during this time, because I think we're all looking for some kind of routine and something back to what we're used to, of that social situation, because that's what we offer at work, and that's kind of one of our goals in our programming, is to be a social outlet for people. So I think it's important that we're doing that, and I'm sure they appreciate it. I'm seeing a lot of questions about like budget freezes and what people are doing in terms of that. So in order to keep with our ground rule of staying positive, what are some creative ways people are trying to get, or like are dealing with that and still being able to operate programs, if there are any?
So I'd like to jump in on that if I could. You know, like most universities, and especially small private schools, we're very tuition driven. And right now the administration is still working through what kind of refund they're going to give students. And so I think they're looking at every single penny that they see that we're not going to spend, and they want to take it back so they can maybe apply it to this whole refund issue. And so you know, it's really difficult right now to say, well, we're going to mail plaques or even have plaques made at this point, you know. So we're really, I think, in good faith for our department to be able to give back as much money as possible, because that means refunds for students is really important for us. And, you know, we're just not in a position right now where we can really do a whole lot of extra anything. And I see this carrying over. Our budget year ends May 31st, and come June 1st, I don't anticipate getting the same funds that we had this past year, but we haven't been told anything yet either. So it's kind of hard to know what to expect. And I was just wondering how many other schools are in a similar situation. And the second piece to that is just maybe there's a difference between private and public schools in this situation. I'm not sure. Thanks.
Definitely, thank you. We are on a budget freeze right now, and we are waiting on our orders for what are we going to be doing next. Chris, what about you?
We're not on a formal budget freeze right now. You know, we're obviously being cautioned not to spend a lot, but you know, the good thing for us is, you know, we can still continue to operate to be able to provide for our students, but you know, we have to be prudent with that. You know, we're looking at, you know, how do refunds work, especially for room and board, student fees and things like that. So, you know, again, we're a private institution, so we are tuition driven, yeah, it's gonna get interesting, but I think if we can be creative with it, I think find, you know, better ways to do what we're doing and cheaper solutions, I think we'll be okay. But that, you know, we're really just kind of a little bit of business as is right now.
Okay. If anyone has anything else about that, feel free to jump in or put it in the chat. But one thing I'm seeing a lot of discussion about is like, how are we paying our students if we're allowed to? Are they allowed to work? At SNHU, the HR decided that all student employees are going to get paid based on their average hours through the semester up until this point, and they're going to get paid that until the end of the semester, whether they're work study or not, which is nice for them. A lot of different things going on there. For those that are allowed to have their student employees work, but they need to work remotely, what are you doing? What are you having them work on? Meredith, I saw you had them working on training.
Yep. So what I did first and foremost was I had the opportunity to ask our students, a few, specifically our student supervisors, there's about 12 of them total, if they wanted to work remotely with me. And I was only going to allow them to do that if they wanted to do that, not say, hey, you have to do this. And of course, all of them jumped right on board, and it's no more than an hour, maybe an hour and a half to maybe 2 hours a week with me. We have a weekly, again, Zoom, here we go, a Zoom discussion. But the biggest thing was, which is one of their projects for when they return from spring break, WPI is a little different. We have 7-week terms, so they're actually beginning a whole entire new term as of yesterday, is that they plan our annual training for our staff when we return in August. So I'm just trying to keep as normal as humanly possible. So we may be on a Zoom call working together in groups, but we're doing the same thing that we would be doing if we were there. And they're very on board. They're very excited about it. So that's something just to try to keep them engaged in what we're doing specifically at this moment in time. So.
Awesome. Thank you. At UT, sorry, go ahead.
So we're actually kind of on the opposite end of that right now. I mean, I'm allowed to pay my students if they're working, but our students and then our casual students, you know, being a small school, we have a lot of high schoolers that do a lot of work for us in the evenings. We are not allowed to pay them right now. If they're not doing a job, then they're not allowed to get paid. It's something that we're continuing to advocate for with HR. And, you know, I get it with all the, you know, with looking at the budgets and what all these refunds are going to mean. But, you know, for us, we're continuing to advocate to pay our students. You know, I have a lot of high schoolers that are saving for college and have other, you know, just life-related expenses that now they're currently unemployed. But they don't qualify for, you know, unemployment because they don't make enough, and they're not going to qualify for any stimulus that would come from the government because they're already claimed by somebody else. So we're continuing to look at that. But for the students that, you know, especially our student supervisors, we've got a lot of, you know, remote work options for them. It's not, you know, mandatory. It's really if they want to do it or not. But we're having them help with Zoom interviews. We're having them help with updating our manuals, redoing our digital onboarding process. So there's some things that we can do remotely to keep at least some of our students engaged with the work we're doing.
Awesome. utrgv is currently reviewing student positions to be considered for remote working. About 20 out of 100 employees is what was proposed. Samantha, could you talk about how you made that decision and what those students are going to be doing? You might have to unmute your mic if you're there, Samantha. It looks like
I'll go ahead and talk for Samantha. We're colleagues here at UTRGV. My name is Chris Crume Andrew, and I'm the Marketing and Student Development Coordinator, but I'm always interested in learning about other areas because, again, just like this, it just sparked a lot of different ideas, especially on the development side. So we have a little over 100 employees that we have per semester. We were just told as of Thursday last week that we can't have any employees at this moment. It's really just us professional staff leading the efforts. But then the very next day on Friday afternoon at 4:45, to be specific, we got an email saying, hey, give us a list of student staff that you would find could work remotely and justify it. So we had until Wednesday, yesterday, to submit to our HR. They'll be reviewing, and it was a very hard decision as pro staff to really identify who could work. You know, we would love for all of our employees to be working in some capacity. So we had to make some hard decisions, and so we ended up coming with 20. Just like anyone else, our group exercise instructors we were first to go with. We do have a marketing team that I oversee, and because we are moving to virtual programming, that was kind of pre-recording and trying to entice it a bit further if possible, and a couple of our student supervisors. So That's kind of where we're at right now. We hope to hear something very soon so we can give it to our staff. Our director, Kimberly Rotet, she's amazing. She created a Gantt chart for us where we are putting all of our projects. So we've already identified if we had student staff for us, what would qualify for their work so we can keep up and justify why they would be working remotely. And then specifically for marketing team, we use a software system called Reich. So it does have project-based management on it where we get to time them. And so that also allows us for auditing purposes for down the road to say, yes, they were essential for our staff. So we hope to hear an answer soon.
Sounds like a really awesome plan. Make sure you say hi to Kim for me. I was hoping to see her this year, but I haven't seen her in a while.
She'll be jumping into other sessions. I know she's doing the intramural one this afternoon. So if you guys are on that.
I might be, but yeah, I was hoping to see her at annual, but tell her I said hi and to hit me up on Facebook chat.
Will do.
Awesome. I see a question in the chat from Marisa Cantor. Anyone else offering athletic training services virtually? We are working on sending out mini lessons to sport club athletes and offering virtual appointments. Any creative ideas you all have? Marisa, you talk a little bit about those sessions, and then if anyone has any answers for her, feel free to throw them in the chat and we'll get you on here pretty soon.
Sure, thanks. How's everyone doing? I work at Longwood University in Virginia, and we are coming up with creative ideas for our part-time athletic trainers to be able to continue their work remotely and provide that service to our students. So we actually sent out a survey to our sport club athletes today to get some feedback from them if they even want these mini lessons and what topics they would want. So, health and wellness, general things like that, maybe different things they can do related to sports injuries or whatnot, things that our athletic trainer would be qualified to talk about. And then we also are offering virtual appointments. I'm not sure how many people will take advantage of that, but I was just curious if other people were doing that or if they had other ideas to keep their athletic trainers engaged.
Unfortunately, at SNHU, we cannot help you out with that a little bit. If anyone else has anything, feel free to throw it at least in the chat. Looks like we're close to the end, but we have a few more questions we can talk about. Then we have a reflection activity that we're going to close with. Danielle Anderson is asking, what survey polling tools are people using, if anything?
I'll tell you, my favorite survey polling tool is SurveyMonkey. You can set up a free account, and they're a lot of they're really good. It works really, really well. You can kind of really control how much you want out there. A lot of different ways to send it. To me, that's always been one of the best ways to do it. Anybody else?
We're big on Google here. One answer about the athletic training question: is there mobile options? Other polling activities or softwares, programs, baseline through campus labs. Easton Henriksen is asking, is there an eSports roundtable or chat someone mentioned before? Maybe someone from HQ can answer that. I don't know specifically if there is one.
Yeah, we're working on a lot of different virtual roundtables. This is Christine Haluzik, the Director of Membership at NIRSA. So I know Erin's helping coordinate this call too, but there's a whole lot of sessions coming up on the InMotion website for NIRSA. So yeah, she just dropped in the link there. So there's a whole variety of things that are coming up. And if people have ideas for other ones that they think would be useful or are willing to host, you'll also see the link on that page to be able to drop us a line and let us know, as we're open to scheduling more of these as well.
Mm-hmm. Definitely check out Connect as well. There's always a lot of resources in there, and I'm sure right now it's going to be, packed. So definitely check that out. One thing I want to plug that was mentioned in a previous call that I was on, but I think it's also been on Connect, and hopefully Michaela from SNHU, if you're still on the call. Can you talk about that trivia that's going to be happening? I think it started through University of Minnesota, but I think that might be something that people want to know about.
Yeah, so it's going to be open to NIRSA professionals, students, staff, really anybody. They're going to be doing that on Wednesdays at 8 p.m. through Twitch. Their Twitch channel is called Rec Without Borders. They're also offering that to be used to any programs that want to use a Twitch program that might not be associated directly with their school. There's going to be some marketing stuff coming out either today or tomorrow through NIRSA Connect. They will be doing a dry run Monday night at 8 p.m. Eastern time. So if anyone wants to jump on that and give it a try, we can help work out bugs and stuff like that. And then we'll get it going on next Wednesday.
Is there information on Connect about that, Michaela?
I know one went out today. I know there's supposed to be at least another one going out with some marketing materials that you can push out through your programs as well.
Awesome. Yeah, so definitely look into that. That's one of those ways that we can, still program with other universities. Students can do this. There's no fee. It's free. If you're able to donate some kind of prize, your school can definitely do that, like an intramural champ shirt. But it's essentially, if you all remember that IQ trivia that's been going on, where anyone could sign on and try and win money, but instead of winning money, they're going to get champ shirts or any kind of swag that people can donate. Michaela just posted a link to that in the chat. At this point, I think we should probably jump into that reflection activity, right, Chris?
Yeah, I think that sounds like a great idea because, I think we've had a lot of awesome, positive, just reflection during this time together. And Andrew and I really wanted to give you guys something to take home. And I'm not going to take credit for this. This was an awesome idea from Rachel Finley. I think she just dropped off the call a few minutes ago, but we want to send you guys home with an activity to kind of just reflect on, how you're doing and what you're doing, to stay well during all of this. So this reflection activity is find the helpers. Identify 5 people, it can be famous people or not, that have, really helped out in this time of crisis and really describe what they've done. So don't just say, Andrew, because he hosted a rec chat. Describe what they've done. And then also name 5 things that you're grateful for and or some silver linings you found during this uncertain time and describe them. Again, just saying like, I get to spend more time with my dog. That doesn't count. Really think about it and reflect on that. And then also, if anybody's familiar with NOLS, that's the outdoor leadership group. Which of the 7 leadership skills, and I'm going to show those to you here in just a second, are you developing or choosing to focus on as part of this response, rather than the negative or the inconvenient parts? So those 7 leadership skills right here, and that's a link where you can kind of read about those and read about what NOLS is all about. But how are you developing these through this this time of disruption and uncertainty, and taking the the negative out of it and adding the positive to it? So we're not going to check homework here. We're not going to assign any grades. Although I did see Andrew have his red pen out earlier, so no. But this is more just a reflection for all of us. Staying positive, thinking about the things that really matter. As we're moving through this and looking towards the future, and looking towards celebrating a time where we can be back with our students and reopening our rec centers. I mean, man, I am excited to see the amazing parties that we're all going to have on our campuses when we get back to some semblance of normal. So as we end our time up here, we are going to host another one of these. It'll be next Thursday, April 2nd at the exact same time. You will have to re-register for that if you're interested in it. Also, if you haven't done so yet, go out to the Connect communities and sign up for the small programs Connect community. And we've got a lot of really good discussions, not just now during this time of disruption, but just all the time going on about topics and issues that we face as small programs. So it's a great way to stay in connect with or in connection with all of the small programs colleagues that you've met all around the country. So like I said, I think our time here is running short. So I want to say thank you all for joining us. Andrew, thank you so much for hosting this with me. It has been an absolute pleasure. Thank you to all the HQ staff. And thank you to everyone that has been here and shared all their great ideas and learned something today. So.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. Make sure that if you're on back-to-back Zoom calls, take a break from your computer, go outside for a little bit, stay physically distant. I know that's the term we're trying to switch over to from socially distant, still interact with people, but thanks again. Sorry if we didn't get to your question. We're going to try and do this again as many times as we need to and can to address as much as we can. So thanks for coming, and hopefully we'll see some of you guys next week.